Hello and welcome to Newsclick. The second year of Modi regime is coming to an end, and Newsclick is doing a series of interviews on different sectors which are affecting the common masses, education being one of them. To discuss the education sector in the second year of Modi regime, or say the 2 years of the Modi government, we have with us Nandita Narain, the FEDCUTA and DUTA president. Hello Nandita, welcome to Newsclick. Before we go to the further points, how do you assess the 2 years of the current regime and what impact it has on the education sector as a whole?
Well, I would say that there is a continuity from the policies of the earlier government, and there is an acceleration also of the policies that we had been struggling against in the higher education sector. Teachers from across the country had been alerting people of the country to the dangers of corporatization, privatization, reduction in funding of higher education under the pressure of not only the local corporate sector, but also the international lobby of non-state players, which through the WTO and other organizations have been pressurizing countries to cut back on essential areas like education, particularly higher education, and health. We were hoping that there would be some slowing down of that process, because one of the reasons why I feel that the Congress government lost was it lost touch with the people altogether, and was following these very anti-people policies, and it was getting obvious to the people. So for some time, for example, we in Delhi University felt that there will be some democratic response to our pleas, and we had a rollback of the 4-year undergraduate program, which was part of that whole restructuring program under the earlier government for corporatization. But within a few months, they brought back exactly the same policies, which were the UPA policies, and probably they were policies which were espoused even by the NDA before the UPA. Both these groupings have been very elitist and very pro-corporate, and over a period of time, they have really undermined the welfare of the Indian people. This particular government is also using, I mean, I feel, given the political leadership, the other agenda which is against our constitution, which is against the principles of secularism, social justice, and so on, have been further undermined, and they've been used to facilitate the shift to the corporatization faster. That is, you divide the movements by having a very rabidly communal agenda, encouraging violence, and also a particular kind of discourse which alienates, which divides people. So it is a very dangerous combination. One, the old communal agenda, which is pushing towards a Hindu Rashtra, which will satisfy a large masses of people that they've brainwashed in this particular direction. And the other is the corporate agenda, which is selling the interests of the country. And unfortunately, even within the right-wing gathering, there have been voices of dissent like the Swadeshi Jagran Manch and all, which today are completely marginalized. Nobody is listening to them either. Otherwise, on the issue of WTO, on the issue of privatization of education and so on, from their side also they could have built up some kind of resistance
to it,
resistance.
But it didn't
There
happen.
doesn't seem to be any inner party democracy within that configuration.
Actually, Nandita, you have raised very two important points. One is the corporatization of the education sector, and another is changing the social fabrics. We have seen motivated appointments in different campuses that have led to different sort of students movement across the country. Starting from FTI, then ICHR, how do you see these appointments and what impact are they going to have on the educational institutions?
See, what I feel is that even while they will have a very avowedly right-wing agenda, but within that they have to also make sure that there is no intellectual leadership. Surely they could have found better people even from within the right wing to lead some of these institutions. We can think of more than a dozen names of people who could have headed FTII, for example, or somebody who at least had some credibility in their own area. But they're picking out particularly mediocre people who will not be able to resist the onslaught. So when it comes to the reduction of funds, or when it comes to the attack on dissent, maybe a person who is, whatever ideology they may have, may believe that this institution needs to be protected. But these voices are not going to be heard, because they've got very mediocre people in place who will simply be like post officers, implement whatever is instructed from the top, and that is not in the interest of even the right wing in the country. It is in the interest of people who are truly anti-national, who are truly against the freedom of this people and truly against democracy in our country. So it is somebody else's agenda that is being implemented. So whether it is FTII or it is in Hyderabad University, the kind of vice chancellor we have today, or even in JNU, I would say that extremely unsuitable person from electrical engineering to be sent to JNU, who has not at all covered himself in glory, not played any role, not given any leadership in that institution. Somehow we are lucky to have a person with much greater credibility. He's opened up a dialogue, and we have some hopes here. But all over the country, it is it is a march to the decline of an unprecedented kind, and there's an attack on student movements. Central universities are being targeted, Allahabad University, JNU, Aligarh Muslim University, particularly because these are the places where you have the intellectual leadership which is nurtured. You do not want, who does not want intellectual leadership of the country? Who does not want this country to be proud and independent? It's only people who do not have it at their heart, the interests of the nation.
Yeah, also, apart from these facts, the government has also been dismantling the public sector universities by raising the fees in different sort of universities, like as it has happened in IITs. And then WTO negotiations and the foreign education bill, which was rejected during UPA regime by the same BJP, is being brought again by the
Not
BJP.
Only that, it is the NCHAER which is coming in through this HIFA, Higher Education Funding Agency. You see, what has happened is the students had built up this movement against a non-net fellowship withdrawal or reduction, and the reduction in grants and so on. And now there's a they've sought to disrupt that whole movement, and now we are worried about, we are standing up for the democratic rights of our students, not sending them to jail, charges of sedition, and everybody is busy with that. And there's another lot which is just going on with, Bharat Mata Ki Jai and so on and so forth. So nobody is talking about the issues that really matter, and the government is being able to slip through a 55% reduction in our funding. It's able to slip through the Gujarat bill, which becomes the model for the whole country, which is Central Universities bill, is being implemented in pieces without being brought to Parliament, where the autonomy of the universities is completely being taken away. The ability to make syllabi, to be able to innovate, is being completely taken away. And foreign universities or Indian private universities, which are called universities of innovation by the Kapil Sibal bill, they are the ones who have the freedom to make courses and offer choices at a very high cost. So this model does not suit the Indian people. So these are the modern day Jayachans who have really sold our interests. And if the people even within the right wing do not wake up, they are being used to fulfill an agenda which is completely different.
Yeah, Nandita, being president of FEDCUTA, the current regime brought also the CBCS system, which they're trying to implement throughout the country, and it would actually it will bring everybody on the same field. What impact is it going to have on the state level universities, which actually lack resources if you compare with the DU?
Yeah, it is again a scheme which has been prepared not by within the country, I believe. It is a blueprint which has been prepared for different countries to implement it by dilution of the intellectual content everywhere, because you don't need thinking people who will question your policies. So the hegemony of that 1% will be threatened if people continue to question. So it is a scheme which has been devised. It has affected various countries. America is one of the first to be affected. You don't have any large students movement possible on any issue of any concern, for example, even on the Iraq war or anything, unlike the Vietnam days. So these changes have been brought in continuously since then. And CBCS is again a PPP model, with public-private partnership, because the choices that people are supposed to take after doing a very small amount of their own subject, which is highly diluted courses, the choices that they're supposed to get, they will not be able to get in their own universities because we are underfunded, understaffed, but they will get it through private universities or open universities at a very high cost. So it is a PPP model which will help the private universities to get a foothold and to flourish. They think they will flourish. But for most people of the country, access to formal, quality, affordable education will be a thing of the past. Something that you and I took for granted is not going to be possible for future generations. Now that can only be a recipe for disaster. If we follow models, why don't we look at Iceland? Why don't we look at Finland? Why don't we look at France, Germany, where public funded education is so strong that people can get very good quality education from the kindergarten till the PhD level? Why don't we follow those models?
Also, there has been a trend that the social sciences has been continuously attacked in terms of either funding or the course structures. Now, the recent phenomena is that in Rajasthan, Jawaharlal Nehru has been scrapped from courses. Safdar Hashmi and Ismat Chugtai had been removed earlier. So this sort of attack has also become very aggressive in the current regime.
Yes, because you see the twin agendas I'm talking about. One was that of the Hindu Rashtra, and they want to really wipe out your history, because if you can tamper with the history, you can tamper with your collective memory. Your identity really depends on your collective memory, and it affects your future. So this attempt to blank out things and to change it, and particularly where your own role in the national struggle is very, very dubious. So you want to then ban books like the book by Bipin Chandra for absolutely specious grounds, that the particular term which was used, which Bhagat Singh used for himself also,
and the writer said they will withdraw.
The writer said that we can change it in the light of the sentiments expressed, but to ban the sale of the Hindi book, and then there's an attempt maybe to further curtail it from our syllabus, that may also happen. We won't be surprised. That is a very dangerous trend. That's an anti-intellectual trend. It is something which is extremely conservative, and it will stop knowledge from growing. Similarly, you have instances which have been not only through this regime, the earlier regime, when the 300 Ramayanas was drawn. I mean, you have a rich, diverse culture. You want to make it one homogeneous upper caste understanding of your culture and your history, which is just not true. So this is not something that really can be imposed on the country, and there will be a huge resistance with a huge human cost. So this sort of thing, and particularly I want to mention one more thing. The CBCS is so anti-intellectual in the sense that the courses that were made by the UGC and sent to us, in political science course, there is no paper on the national struggle, the national movement. They've removed it altogether. Now, why is that? But it's not only happening in political science, it's happening in all subjects. In commerce, there is no economics. In statistics, there is no probability. It's like absurd, and it's also as a result of that, the teachers find themselves out of work. Those who are appointed to specialize in certain disciplines and teach those within the subject. We have a huge kind of fracas growing in Delhi University, because suddenly economics teachers appointed in the commerce department have no work, and so on. It's creating so many problems that we will disintegrate very quickly, and probably that is the idea.
Nandita, this would be my last question. What do you see? What's the way ahead?
Well, the way ahead is for us to actually take this campaign out of our universities to the people at large and show them what they have to lose. Surely they who fund the government, through indirect taxes, they have a right to have, affordable education for their children. I think education is the most important thing, and it is tied with all the other struggles. So whether it is the workers' struggle or the struggle of people in tribals and women and other marginalized sections, or people in the university, I think we have to come together. And I'm confident that if we can do that, if we can rise above, and I appeal even to people with different kinds of ideologies, to see, what kind of lives do they envisage for their own children in this country? Do they want them to get a decent education or not? So we have to come together and fight against this kind of, I would say, this neo-colonial attack, which never really went away. It has been there in the form of all, even the educated elite, who have been just extensions of the colonial arm, and I include myself in that.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Nandita, and as the issues proceed, we'll be coming back to you on such issues. Thank you for watching Newsclick.